Hey there, I am John Omoruyi. Welcome to my channel. Please kindly subscribe, then like and share this video. Without further ado, let's jump right into the video.
So sticking around in a relationship that's unhealthy or unhappy is a common mistake, but so is leaving one that still holds promise. In the next couple of minutes, I'll be sharing with you some common relationship questions to ask yourself if you're having trouble trying to figure out if you should stay or go. Let's start right here. Number 1, am I happy? Most importantly, before breaking up with someone, ask yourself if you are truly happy or if you're yearning for more from the relationship that you're currently getting. Even if you can't quite put your finger on why you want to break up, that's okay. All that matters is that you need to feel like you're making the decision that's best for you. If you ask me, there are no mistakes. There are only learning opportunities, and every relationship is, well, when you think about it, practice for the next one. It's all about getting better. When it comes to breaking up, no one except you can decide on what the right move is. Even if you're sad about ending a relationship, it's actually really important to put yourself and your own needs first and learn not to settle for a partner who doesn't fulfill your needs. Breakups are hard. Breakups suck. But just remember, being single again is just another chance to fall in love all over again. Also remember that happiness inherently is something only you can make happen. No one can do that for you, okay? Number 2, are our differences truly irreconcilable, even when it comes to small things? Now, identifying what matters most to you is important because for some couples, their values are just too different for a relationship to work. No one feels completely unfulfilled all the time, okay? And adjusting needs and expectations is an inevitable and healthy part of being in a relationship. But how can you tell if you're just experiencing normal ups and downs and maybe compromises, or if your values are just not aligned, right? You're on different pages. If you keep having the same argument about seemingly trivial things like, say, taking the trash out or what to watch next on, say, Netflix over and over again, that could be a sign that your values aren't aligned or that there's something deeper going on, such as maybe you guys growing apart. For example, one person might view garbage duty as a symbol of equality, which might be an important part of what constitutes a fulfilling relationship for them, okay? Their partner, on the other hand, may see it as some annoying chore that basically they can get done tomorrow and might not understand why it's such a big deal for the other party. And that's why exploring the values at the root of the conflict as a couple, or either alone or, say, with a qualified therapist, is so important and is so critical. If you can identify what's really bothering you, you can talk to your partner about it and decide together if a compromise, for instance, is possible, or if a particular value clash is a deal breaker for both of you. Number 3, am I staying out of love or out of obligation? So I read a book once, and the author said, love is not an obligation, it's a gift. And it really resonated with me because I do believe that if you're staying with your partner because you feel obligated to do so, like maybe you feel, oh, this person has done so much for me, I owe it to them because they supported me in some way, or they've been so good to me, you might end up putting the other person's needs ahead of your own all the time. And this can hold you back from mutually fulfilling relationships. It's also a trait of codependency. And remember, codependency means excessive emotional or psychological reliance on a partner. And that's not what you want. By contrast, a healthy interdependent relationship in which you don't necessarily need the other person, but rather want to be with them, requires identifying your needs and honoring your boundaries so that you can choose to be with your partner without sacrificing what's most important to you. I mean, you should be able to share your feelings with your partner to help ensure that both of your needs are being met and that neither person actually ends up feeling like neglected or unappreciated. But If, for instance, the thought of, say, breaking up or asking for some space leaves you feeling guilty about abandoning your partner or worried that you're being selfish, it's important to sort out what's really at the root of those feelings, because I believe there's something there. Number 4, do I have the grass is greener syndrome? Now, when you're in a long-term relationship, it's easy to get super comfortable with your partner and mistake that for having a boring relationship. If you find yourself dwelling on a colleague you probably have a crush on at work more than usual, or maybe even thinking about, say, cheating, right? You may have the grass is greener syndrome. I'm sorry to break that to you. AKA, you'd rather see what else is out there instead of working on the challenges in your current relationship. Now, before you make a rash decision to end things and pursue someone new, it might be worth reflecting to actually figure out if you're really unhappy or if you and your partner are just, say, stuck in a rut and need to rekindle the romance. Because the truth is, the grass is never really greener on the other side. It's only greener where you water it. And people aren't willing to put in the effort to make their grass greener because they just keep focusing on the fence, on the grass on the other side. And they think, oh, it looks better. Let me just jump over there and get it. Number 5, is the relationship abusive in any way, physically or emotionally? So relationships that involve any amount of physical, emotional, or psychological mistreatment require an immediate assessment of whether it's time to leave for the safety of one or even both partners. On average, in every passing minute, thousands of people experience some form of abuse by an intimate partner around the world. And sometimes abuse isn't always easy to identify because the behaviors that victims experience are all emotional and psychologically harmful. They're not physical. You don't see them. If you're not sure if your relationship is emotionally abusive, just consider if your partner, for instance, insults or calls you names, criticizes you in a way that makes you question your worth, blames you, to inspire guilt, plays mind games, humiliates you. They might also use intimidation, coercion, threats. If you have children, they could be using your kids against you to influence what you do, as well as where you go, who you speak to. I say, if you suffer abuse in your relationship, I would encourage you to leave that relationship. It's not a healthy place for you to be. And in the end, your life could be in danger as well. A healthy relationship, I believe, is rooted in mutual respect, negotiation and fairness, partnership, shared responsibility. A healthy relationship focuses on honesty, trust, emotional support. A healthy relationship should provide a foundation for equality, non-violence. That's what it's for. That's what it should be about. Number 6, is it them or is it me? Now, it's easy for you to always point fingers, blame, play the blame game. If you're thinking of breaking up with someone, chances are you think there's an issue with them. But take a second to reflect on yourself. If all your relationship problems appear to be caused by your partner, it's possible you're unfairly blaming everything on them. Is there any role you played? Are there mistakes you made as well? If you leave someone over something you're actually responsible for, get this, it's going to show up again in the next relationship. Now, there is you, yes, you watching this video right now, who's been in multiple relationships where all your partners have complained about the same thing, yet you're feeling too proud to admit. Don't you see that you're actually the problem? It's hard to admit it, I know, but you are. Because really, think about it. How is it that people who've never met, they don't know each other, they only have one thing in common? In this case, it's you. They're all singing the same song, however, when it comes to your attitude and behavior. They're saying the same things. It may be time to have some real talk with yourself, buddy. You might be the problem. So don't be in a hurry to leave that relationship. Fix it. Number 7, am I willing to put in the effort necessary to save the relationship? Be realistic about what it would take to salvage your relationship. Ask yourself whether you really have the energy to go through that, especially knowing that it may or it may not work. Are you willing to go above and beyond to make this happen? Are you willing to sacrifice other relationships and doing the things that you love, even if temporarily, to ensure that your current relationship thrives? Are you willing to do it? If not, don't waste one more second of your time or their time. Move. And finally, ask yourself, what are my needs and my values? Speaking of what's best for you, you don't have to have a good reason to end a relationship. It can simply be your needs not being met. In general, if you're feeling unappreciated or resentful towards your partner, chances are certain needs are not being met. And I find that it can be helpful to pay attention to those underlying needs and values during arguments. For example, if you're fighting about money and budgets, what need is not being met here? That's a good question to ask. Is it a financial safety and security, or maybe a question of freedom and independence? And ask yourself, what is the underlying value behind this need? Are we talking about, for instance, maybe the fact that you value having money saved for the future, or treating yourself and your loved ones? Recognizing these kinds of nuances can help you decide whether these conflicts can be worked through or whether they're actually deal breakers. Okay, so I'm sure there are many other questions, to be honest, many other questions that you can ask yourself. But from where I sit, these are some of the top ones that come to mind that I wanted to share with you if you're considering leaving your partner. Of course, there are questions of religion that may come up, where they stand, if you guys are aligned morally. In fact, if there are any more that you think are really important that I left out, maybe you can drop it in the comments below. But for now, this is where I will leave it.